ugliest child ever born in Larchmont, New York. I want you to know. Please. The doctor looked at me and said she's not done yet and shoved me back in. It was just...
A healthy 81-year-old is a rarity in itself, but Joan Rivers definitely was one. She went to do a routine procedure scheduled with the goal of prolonging her brilliant career, but that procedure turned out to be a hellish one, which ultimately caused her to lose her life. This is the story about the terrifying death of Joan Rivers, a comedian who paved the way for all other women in her industry. Joan Rivers, born Joan Alexandra Malinsky on June 8, 1933 in Brooklyn, New York, was one of the most popular and likable comedy personalities for decades. She was raised in a middle-class Jewish family, and from a very young age, Rivers displayed signs of her future comedic prowess. She knew that the path to stand-up comedy and television was the one for her. That could be seen in her preferred choice of education, where she went to further improve her language and understanding of human speech. So after graduating from Barnard College with a degree in English literature and anthropology, Rivers plunged into the world of show business, determined to make her mark. She began her comedy career in the early 1960s, performing stand-up routines in the vibrant clubs of Greenwich Village. It wasn't long before Rivers caught the attention of audiences and industry insiders alike with her razor-sharp wit, self-depreciating humor, and fearless approach to comedy. She definitely was a pioneer for female stand-up comics, talking about things and subjects that weren't the standard beforehand. This wasn't just one of many hilarious TV appearances made by Joan, but it was also one of the most historic ones. In 1965, Rivers made history by becoming the first female guest host of The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carlson, a groundbreaking achievement that catapulted her to national prominence. Throughout the years, Johnny Carlson was a huge supporter of Joan Rivers, and that could be seen in multiple instances. This served as additional motivation for her, and she didn't shy away from expressing her gratitude and letting the world know that it was a big deal to her. His support and kind words stayed with her, showing us that the flashing of fame didn't change her. She even mentioned this in her book, Enter Talking, which was released in 1986. But going back in time, throughout the 1970s and 1980s, Rivers solidified her status as a comedy icon, releasing comedy albums, making memorable appearances on television variety shows like The Ed Sullivan Show, and starring in films such as The Swimmer and The Muppets Take Manhattan. But it was her daytime talk show, The Joan Rivers Show, which aired from 1989 to 1993, that cemented her legacy as a pioneering force in the entertainment industry. The show, which earned Rivers a Daytime Emmy Award, showcased her unparalleled comedic talent and unfiltered honesty, captivating audiences and earning her a devoted fan base. In addition to her television work, Rivers became known for her keen fashion sense and witty red carpet commentary, particularly during awards season. Alongside her daughter, Melissa Rivers, she became a fixture on the E! Entertainment television network, covering prestigious events and dissecting celebrity fashion choices with her trademark humor and candor. This showed the world that she was timeless, as the show connected to younger audiences, cementing the fact that regardless of the time and age she was in, Joan was hilarious and likable. Throughout her later years, Rivers remained a tireless performer, embracing new opportunities and mediums with enjoyment and enthusiasm. She developed a successful jewelry line on the QVC, and continued to tour as a stand-up comedian, and starred in documentaries such as Joan Rivers, A Piece of Work, which offered a candid glimpse into her life and career. Everything she touched turned to gold, basically, and she was liked and loved by many. This only made it even harder for everyone in the world when news broke about her death. Before we continue the story about the remarkable life and terrifying death of Joan, we would like to ask you to show us your support by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. September 4th, 2014. A date remembered as a tragic one by all, especially the family of Joan Rivers, most notably for her daughter, Melissa Rivers. On this day, Joan Rivers was undergoing a routine endoscopy and laryngoscopy. Endoscopy is a medical procedure used to examine the inside of the digestive tract, while laryngoscopy refers to a doctor using a special camera to look down the throat to see the voice box and vocal cords. So basically, something that should have been a means to prolong her career ended up as something that would take her life away. But the details are truly terrifying, and serves as a chilling reminder of the trust we place in medical professionals. A federal report released after her death revealed alarming details about the negligence surrounding her minor throat injury. During the procedure, Rivers' vital signs deteriorated for a full 15 minutes before medical staff intervened. Shockingly, the clinic's medical director, Dr. Lawrence Cohen, snapped selfies of the surgery, highlighting the callous disregard for professionalism. These were just rumors at this point, but unfortunately, they turned out to be true during the investigation later on. The horrors didn't end there. Rivers was given double the intended dose of the anesthetic propofol. The report stated that it was due to a computer error. However, the fact that there were no records of her weight in the computer would suggest that the anesthesiologist who entered the dosage in the computer was also making a cardinal mistake. This crucial factor in dosage miscalculations turned out to be critical, as it ended up taking the life of the comedy legend. Such compounded negligence during a medical procedure is nothing short of terrifying. It called into question the integrity of the medical profession as a whole. The use of cell phones in the operating room, failure to monitor vital signs, and basic errors in dosage administration were and still are breaches of fundamental medical etiquette. Her death was classified as a therapeutic complication. The classification is not commonly used. More deaths are certified as accidents, homicides, suicides, or natural causes. The clinic, Yorkville Endoscopy, did not immediately respond to a request for comments, and this only further outraged the world. But someone who took it upon herself to rectify this situation was her daughter, Melissa Rivers. She was determined to ensure that her mother's tragic fate never befalls another patient. Through her lawyer, she vowed to pursue justice and enact change to prevent similar tragedies in the future. Unsurprisingly, Melissa Rivers and the rest of the family didn't just accept the fate that was bestowed upon them. The fortune left to them by Joan showed that this lawsuit wasn't about the money, it was about principle. After a grueling but somewhat behind-the-curtains legal process, the lawsuit was finally settled in 2015. They aimed to ensure that the focus remained on improving patient care and honoring Joan Rivers' legacy. Attorneys Ben Rubinowitz and Jeff Bloom emphasized this in their statement. Melissa Rivers, in a statement released through her lawyers as we saw, expressed relief at being able to move past the legal aspects of her mother's death. She stated that the settlement holds those responsible for Joan Rivers' death accountable and allows her to continue advocating for higher safety standards at outpatient surgical clinics. Yorkville Endoscopy, the clinic involved, stated that the decision to settle was made to avoid prolonged legal proceedings. They reaffirmed their commitment to providing quality and compassionate healthcare services to their patients and their families. The lawsuit alleged mishandling of Rivers' endoscopy and the performance of an additional procedure, a laryngoscopy, without her consent. It claimed that an anesthesiologist concerned about the procedure's impact on Rivers' breathing was dismissed by the gastroenterologist. According to the investigation by the New York City Office or Chief Medical Examiners, Joan Rivers' cause of death was determined to be anoxic encephalopathy, more commonly known as brain damage. This resulted in hypoxic arrest, which is the decrease in brain oxygenation during surgery. The comedic genius of Joan Rivers still lives on, but the holes left in the hearts of everyone who knew her are still there. Many comedians and present comedy pioneers still remember the impact Joan left on them, especially female stand-up comics. Finding someone like Joan would be impossible, as she truly was one of a kind. She left a mark, showing everyone how to be amazing in their line of work, not only on a high level but for a long time as well. Let us know your favorite Joan Rivers moments, and let us make our own tribute to her genius down in the comments below.